Hello everyone and welcome back to another painting critique video. In this one I'm showcasing watercolour paintings created by my attendees of a recent workshop where we painted this river scene. More on that in a minute. In this video I'll offer constructive feedback on each of the submitted paintings, highlighting the strengths and aspects I particularly like and admire. I'll also suggest some small tweaks or adjustments so that you can consider that and further enhance your watercolour skills on future paintings. Now, as we see the different attendee paintings, please bear in mind that the colours and lighting in the photos may vary slightly differently due to differences in cameras and lighting conditions. And also remember, there's no single way to paint. It's always fascinating to see everyone's take and different interpretation of the same subject. My workshops are welcome to artists of all skill levels, from beginners to experienced painters. If you're interested in joining future workshops or exploring past sessions, please visit my events site at crowdcast.io/@TimWilmot. There you'll find details of up-and-coming workshops, including the next session. Our subject for this one then was Dittisham on the River Dart, a winter scene, a nice peaceful river scene with an arrangement of boats there in the foreground, a little bit of perspective to deal with the angle of those boats there going around towards the shoreline. We've got a little bit of the jetty showing as well, just to give a bit of context to where the boats are. And then in the middle ground, we have, going from the right-hand side, we've got a few cottages along the water's edge, a large white one there, sat high up above a retaining wall, and then a nice pretty thatched cottage there, and then more of a larger one, with a few more dwellings going further along. In the background, there are the winter's woods, and we've got a bit of a stormy sky as well to deal with. And what I thought was quite nice with this scene is that light boat there in the distance, and these sort of quite attractive horizontal bands of light coming across the water. There's some reflections to handle as well, from the white boat, from the cottage there, of course from these boats here also. A few extra things to contend with, the buoys floating there in the water, another area of interest, those row of buoys, those blue buoys, and fenders along the actual boat here as well, outboard motors, little bits and pieces with the rope and rigging. And yes, nice reflections in the water, trying to get that peaceful look and feel to it. So what I'm going to be looking for as I go through the individual paintings is the composition from this source photo and the arrangement of those boats, trying to get a nice sort of balance to the scene. Then the different watercolor techniques, the sky, trying to get the trees in as well, those winter trees, the cottages, trying to get the perspective right, the horizontal nature of the water's edge there in the distance. Bit of perspective with the arrangement of boats in the foreground here, particularly this yellow boat here. That's probably going to be the trickiest one, with the shape of the top of the boat, the edges of the boat, and then that kind of recess in the middle where the seats are, and these fenders also going along, quite tricky, those fenders going along the length of the boat. Also the placement of the white boat and reflections as well. I'll also be trying to keep an eye out for anything creative, with either including something or excluding something from the scene, and slightly different watercolor techniques as well being displayed. First up then, my painting from the live demo, which I'm fairly happy with as regards the composition. I think I got the perspective okay, particularly that tricky yellow boat in the foreground. The sky, adding a little bit of colour into that, just make it a little bit more interesting. Then the winter's woods, a mixture of greys, greens, browns. I slapped in a little bit of lavender just for a bit of extra interest in there. The cottages, the houses along the riverside, well, I retained that large white one on the right-hand side, removed the structure, the greenhouse or conservatories to the right. I've got the thatched cottage in there as well. There's my feature white boat, might be a bit of a focal point. And then the reflections, that horizontal band coming across, connecting with the white boat, and then a sort of pattern of these reflections coming down, a little bit like that, angled down, which I thought was quite nice as well. Almost sort of mimicked with the arrangement of those blue buoys as well, and the angle of those boats. The reflections, yeah, the colour of the reflections I think was all right. Maybe I've got a bit of a glassy feeling to the surface, and that little bit of a light highlight around the reflections of the side of the fenders as well. I think that came out all right. And the jetty bottom right hand corner, and those ropes and rigging. So fairly happy with it. Let's go through the attendee paintings then one by one. First up then, Andrew. Good composition. The perspective has come out okay with the boats. Maybe that yellow boat could be perhaps just a little bit further up from the bottom, just to give it a bit more of a balance. But I think the perspective is good with the angle of the jetty there and the distant shoreline. Nice sky. The woods might be just a little bit overworked, but I think everything else is okay. Maybe a bit of overworking there in the middle, Andrew. And I would ease off the white gouache a little bit. You've gone a bit sort of milky there and a bit thickish, opaquish there with that white gouache. The white boat, yeah, it sort of turns up, it sort of shows up okay. And then we've got the horizontal, that distant horizontal streak of light, the buoys there, the angle of those, the reflections also. Maybe with the reflections, I think it looks like you've gone quite dry with your brush. Maybe a little bit more paint on the brush might just give a bit of a fresher, a nicer edge to some of those reflections. But you certainly got that winter's feeling with this one, Andrew. Thanks very much. And Anna's next, nicely framed. Composition, good. The boats, maybe the boats could be, all of them could be nudged up a little bit, similar to Andrew's in a way. Just nudge them up a little bit, just to fill in kind of that sort of space there. That would look a little bit better, I think, as regards the balance of the scene. Perspective is good. The drawing of this boat here is not quite right. I think maybe you just need a bit more of, let me just see now, a bit more of a curve coming out here and then coming up. Yeah, it just needs to come out just a little bit. It's nearly there. Good sky, nice sky. You've gone for more of a nicer day's weather. Lovely sky. The woods, excellent as well. The buildings on the shoreline, fantastic. That one there stands out just a little bit. I might sort of tone that one down a bit, just glaze it over. But nice reflections. The white boat there as well. Good main reflections of the woods and the sky coming down. And then the perspective of the jetty, that's a lovely colour to that wood as well. Yeah, beautiful painting. Well done, Anna. And Anthony. Nice composition. I think with the perspective on this, well, a couple of things. We might be angling down just a little bit too much there, I reckon, Anthony. And also the cottage there in the middle, it might be just a little bit too low. It sort of looks it is fairly close to the river. I'm not sure if it would succumb to any flooding in the winter, but that one there's just a little bit too close. Maybe just nudge it up a bit, or have a darker line there, a thicker line, a higher line, just to move it up from the water's edge. The white boats come out okay. The boats are drawn really well, particularly the yellow boat. Excellent. Nice reflections as well. Good winter trees. A little bit overworked on that right-hand side, but I think on the left-hand side, they've come out very sort of wintry looking with that paler colour. That of course does serve to push them back a bit as well. Well done, Anthony and Barb. Nice composition. The boats again could be possibly moved up a tiny bit with the water's edge. I can see where you've got a nice angle there. I think the placement of those three buildings is all right. Very nice indeed. The distant trees, excellent. You've got those two little green fields peeking through as well. So just the right rendering of those distant trees, and also very soft edges around those trees as well, with the dark shadow, and maybe gone a bit sort of thickish with the paint there. Well, I like those brush marks. Yeah, it looks like you've gone fairly thick with, gone fairly opaque with the different greens, but so many colours in those woods, and a nice natural edge silhouette to those trees as well. The white boat has come out okay. Really good. Reflections overall brilliant. The boat shapes drawn exceptionally well. The yellow boat here, perhaps it could be, yeah, I'm just thinking of the shape. No, the shape's okay, I reckon. Shape's okay. And nice reflections of that yellow boat as well. You've picked up on that little bit of highlighting around where the light's catching the edge of the fenders. Yeah, really nice. Thanks, Barb. Next up is Bob. Super painting, Bob. The composition is fantastic. You haven't, you kind of zoomed in, I guess you've zoomed in a little bit to the scene, so the boats are a little bit larger, and we don't see the sky in that top right corner, but absolutely super painting. Let's just zoom into Bob's woods, and really nicely done. Not too much detail. Look at the granulation of the paint on the paper. Subtle edges to some of those trees as well. All sorts of different colours going on. Blues, greys, greens, darks around the buildings. The buildings really nicely placed. The thatched cottage there sitting in the water. The attention to detail, the shape of that boat, really, really nice. Nice touch with the seagulls or birds flying there in the sky. Nice placement of those. And these boats, really, really well drawn. And nice, you've actually done I think you've actually included all of those boats that we had in the source photo. And also these buoys as well, the placement of those, their reflections. Overall, the reflections are absolutely fantastic. The reflections of this, but maybe you could have gone perhaps a tiny bit darker with the yellow of the boat there, seeing as it's sort of a little bit, this side a little bit in the shade, but it's all fantastic. Yeah, very nice painting indeed. Well done, Bob. And now Bronwyn. Nice composition. I'm getting immediate impact of the loose paintwork, the loose brushwork that you've done in this one, Bronwyn. Really, really nice. You've gone a little bit, I guess you've gone a bit lower with the valley there in the middle, which I think works. And so nice composition. Perspective is good. The jetty here maybe. These lines could be, I'm going to emphasize things here, but if we take, say, that angle there as a lead. As we go further up, we need to angle out a little bit more, I reckon, with the angle that you've got there. I'm emphasizing it a little bit, but if you see what I mean. Nice stormy sky. The trees, beautiful. I'm just thinking, are they a little bit overworked? No, I think they're okay. I like that soft edge that you've got also. These little bits of green sort of escaping into the sky. That boat there might be a little bit high in the water, possibly could be a little bit lower, but nice white boat. The placement of these boats, the boats are really well drawn and painted. Perhaps the buoys are, they kind of don't show out too well, but we can certainly, ones on the left hand side, we can see the buoys there. Nice overall reflections as well. As I say, really nice transparent brush marks, and certainly this lower half, very fresh looking. Well done, Bronwyn and Buck. Nice composition. I'm not sure if it's the photo, but it looks fairly dark, which would be really appropriate for this winter scene. So I think the light that you've got in this Buck is just spot on. I like the way that you've done the background woods, that sort of spiky effect. Let me just zoom into that kind of profile there, the silhouette of those trees, but there's kind of spiky, that edge to it, really nice. Certainly got the winter feeling. Boats just leaning, the cabin there's leaning just a little bit, possibly. Nice placement of the buildings. The boats are well drawn. I think with the yellow one here, possibly the back of the boat. So this side is all right, but the back, maybe it needs to, the corner would be there. So just a slight adjustment might make it look a little bit better, but overall, really well drawn. Nice reflections also, very fresh. A little bit of granulation going on. Nice paper as well that you've used. Nice winter sky. Colour. Good composition. Perspective is spot on. Nice drawing of the boats. Good angle of the jetty. You've gone quite soft and light, I think, with the foreground boats, particularly with the yellow one. Maybe if you'd have gone a bit stronger with that yellow boat, just might give it a bit more of an impact. And maybe also the bow of the boat, maybe just get a harder edge there just to make it stand out just a little bit more. But overall, boat's really well drawn. Nice handling of the distant trees. They are super, nothing overworked, just sort of, you got a little bit wet in wet with those trees, I can see. Yeah, very effective. The buildings really well done. A little bit of a slope maybe on the right-hand boat, but overall well done. Nice reflections as well, white boat there. Yes, nice reflections in the water. And those buoys, they've come up really well also. Nice colours in those reflections, all sorts of colours going on. The ochres, the blues, the reds. Excellent. Yeah, lovely painting, Carla, thank you. And Catherine. Right, nice composition. Perspective is very good. The boats are really well drawn, especially this yellow one. That's come out all right. Maybe with the reflection could have gone the reflection of the yellow boat, Catherine, could have gone a little bit darker in this area here, just a tiny bit darker. But overall, boat's excellent. The distant trees I like all the colours that you've got in there. The blues, the greys, the browns, some greens. Yeah, the top edge here, maybe that could be a bit like the reflection, could be just a tiny, tiny little bit darker. But overall, really good winter woods. The buildings really well drawn and painted as well. They with the higher white cottage there and that thatched cottage. The angle of the reflections, that's come out really nice. The angle there, and then you're angling down to almost like a vertical. Yeah, very nice indeed. Well done, Catherine. And Christy. Well, immediate feeling of a bright day, nice composition, perspective is fantastic. That yellow boat is really well drawn and painted. And you've spent a little bit of time getting the outboard motors right as well, which pays, I think, to make them a little bit more boat-like. So good attention to detail. The way that you've done those distant woods, really nice. I like the thick application of the green there, very loose, very impressionistic, within the gap there between the two areas of woods. Distant white boat as well. Looks like you might have used a little bit of sort of white gouache or white paint for those distant horizontal streaks of light. That's very effective. And then these buoys coming down, really nice reflections. We've even got the seaweed there floating around in the river. With the jetty on the right hand side, maybe with some of these lines here could be angling down just a little bit too much with the perspective. I think these lines are okay, but maybe as we go up just a small point, maybe we could just go a little bit more to the horizontal, but you hardly notice it. Yeah, fantastic painting, very bright. Now we've got Claire. Good composition. Nice placement of the boats. I think, yes, that middle cottage might be just a little bit low, too near the water's edge. But I do like the way that you've done the woods, where you've got I guess you've got plenty of paint on your brush, and you've added in two or three different layers for those background woods, and you just let watercolour do its own thing. And as it's drying, as the paint is drying on the surface, you get the pigment sort of settles around the edge, which I think is very attractive in watercolour. Those kind of patterns you get. Very effective when we've got natural things to paint like trees and woods. Boats, they're quite well drawn and painted. Maybe this yellow boat here could be just a little bit lower on the left-hand side. You've got it more pointing or sort of settled in a horizontal plane. Maybe it could be angled down just a wee bit more. With the reflections, the reflections are all right. I was just thinking, could we get in possibly some of those horizontals there, a little bit more light possibly in that distance, and then angle it down with those reflections. But overall, really nice painting, and I do like your woods, Claire. Well done. And Colin. Nice composition. Well done with the perspective. I quite like, in this one, the little patches of light showing through. My eyes immediately went to the little areas of light. Do you see within the darker reflection areas, these little patches of light showing through the paper, the initial wash showing through. And it's almost like a circular pattern. I don't know whether that was intentional, Colin, but that kind of like a curve going on here. Almost like there's a bit of swirly motion going on. And then the sky as well, lovely sky. These little bits of white showing through, bit of brightness. Good background woods. Just be careful of what tiny little bit of maybe overworking, or perhaps a little bit too dry with a brush. Maybe we've got some sort of harder edges starting to creep in there. But generally the winter woods really nice. The cottage there, the white building up on the top, the white boat also excellent. I've mentioned the reflection already. Love those. The boat shapes. The boats are really well painted and are really well drawn and painted. Maybe that boat there might be a little bit too white, too bright. Perhaps a little bit of shadow on this side of it. Yeah, just a little bit too bright, I reckon. It was a white boat, but just maybe glaze over it a tiny bit. Yeah, lovely painting. Well done, Colin. Thank you. And let me just check. Have I missed one? No. Right, David. Let's zoom in a bit. Yes, lovely scene. The way, well, immediately, I like, my eyes are drawn to your background woods. Nice composition, good placement of the boats. They are really well placed. Well done with the perspective as well. Maybe with the boats, we're lost a little bit with what's going on there, but certainly 1, 2, 3, 4, these 4 boats, they're really good. Maybe could go a little bit darker with the side of the boats facing us. That distant sky, super. Nice soft edge to the top of the woods, and the way you've done those woods. Few blobs, different colours, different values. Just let watercolour do its own thing. Nice and loose. I like the style. Really good reflections. Oh, that white boat there. We know there's a white boat going on, but it's sort of lost in the distance. Maybe a little bit of mist or cloud has come down and just obscured that left-hand edge, but that's fantastic. Really good reflections there, David. Yeah, I like it a lot. Particularly, I think the thing I like the most are your background woods and that sky. There was a little bit of light there above the top edge of the woods. Yeah, well done, David. And Engin. Nice composition. Perspective is good. Maybe the boat could be just a little bit larger. I think some of them might be just a little bit too small compared to the yellow boat. So if we use the yellow boat as the sort of measuring stick, maybe the yellow boat could have been a little bit bigger, but that boat there, for example, I think might be a tiny bit too small. So 50% larger would be a little bit better. But overall, nice composition. Good placement of the water's edge, the distant trees, really nice indeed. I like your sky with those 2 birds coming in, the white boat there, the reflection's fantastic. In this area here, could have gone a little bit lighter, I reckon, so that we've got a better balance between the darker reflections and lighter areas. We've got the light there, Engin, but maybe with the sky there reflected down here, if you see what I mean. I like your jetty, the colours that you've got in there, a few transparent layers of the different sort of woody material are really, really nice indeed. Yeah, well done, Engin. Thank you. And Fritz. Very nice painting. I like the, I'll come on to the woods in a bit, but I particularly like the way you've done those woods. So nice composition. The perspective is very good indeed. I like the way that you've done the jetty as well with these little sort of notches there at the end of the timbers. Makes it look a little bit more weathered and wood-like with that decking. That background is exquisite. The sky, the way that you've done the trees, a little bit like a few other submissions where you've got plenty of paint on your brush, and then you just drop the paint on the paper and you just kind of left it to do its own thing. And for example here, these edges around here where it's dried and the pigment has settled, maybe that cottage might be leaning a little bit. I think the top of the roof could go up just a tiny bit, just a wee bit, but certainly got the feeling of the thatch there of that roof. Really nice reflections. You've laid them, you paint them in a very fresh way. You've gone a little bit lighter here, maybe. We could have gone a bit darker, possibly, with the reflection of those woods, but nice reflections. The actual edges are brilliant. You've got the lightness of the reflections of those cottages on the water's edge. These boats are really well drawn and painted, especially it's as good as Christa's. Christa's is good. Yours is good, Fritz. The yellow boat here with the fenders as well, the outboard motor, the interior seating. Yeah, and you've also got a feeling of something actually sort of going on below the surface, which it would be here. I reckon the water here might be quite shallow, maybe possibly a foot or two deep, but you can almost sense there's something lurking below the surface. And look at the granulation of that reflection of the yellow boat. That is a really nice reflection of that yellow boat. Well done, Fritz. Thank you. And Jean. Let's zoom in a little bit on this one. Right, nice composition. The boats are really well drawn and painted. Just the right size for that yellow boat there, and so bright as well. I like the repetition of the yellow in the middle boat there. You haven't bothered with those other boats on the right-hand side, but it doesn't need it. Nice placement of the two cottages on the water's edge. Those trees in the background are fantastic. Really nice indeed. Yeah, excellent. Nice wintry sky as well. Good placement of the white boat. Possibly minor point here, but maybe we could have gone a little bit more horizontal with the reflections. It looks like there's a bit of movement in the water over here. So maybe straighter lines, possibly. But on the whole, the reflections are fantastic. You've got the light down there, the reflection of the yellow boat as well. The reflections on here, the angle of the jetty. I like these darker dry brush marks here, which could be a little bit debris or dampness on that jetty. Yeah, fantastic. Well done, Jean. Thank you. And John. Right. Composition good. So it's got a sort of lively feel about this one. I think it's with the brush marks and the angle of John's reflections. Very lively indeed. Perspective's all right. I like the way that you've almost emphasized the angle of these lines here, John, in on the jetty. That works well, kind of points us in towards the scene. Boat's really well drawn and painted. Background, nice sky. The background wood's good. Perhaps we've got a little bit too much use of the white paint here, John. And we're losing, yes, I suppose we're losing a little bit the definition of the far shoreline or the water's edge. And or possibly we could get some softness somehow in the reflections. But I do like it. It's got a nice sort of style about it. Yeah, yeah. Just that little bit of ease off on that little bit of white gouache, I reckon, there in that distance, John. Super painting, right? Lauren. Nice warm, more of a warm green feeling to this. Composition good. Boats are well drawn and painted. Yes, I'm just, as I said, I'm looking at the yellow boat. Maybe the yellow boat could be just a little bit longer, possibly. But boat's good. The sky, very nice. Winter trees, excellent. The thatched cottage, that's come up really well also. A little bit confusing maybe in this area here, but generally the water's edge, good. The reflections are excellent, especially in that area there, and the white boat and its reflection, that's come up all right. Maybe it's just yes, maybe it's these lines here. These lines here, I think, they're kind of parallel to the edge of the jetty. The jetty's done very well. And I like these fixings here on the side of the jetty. But yes, what I'm talking about are these lines here. Maybe if you'd had a bigger brush but laid a flatter wash there, it might just look a little bit better, so that we've got more sort of horizontal lines. Yeah, I reckon it's because they're following the edge of that jetty. My eyes sort of go there, but everything else is really nice. I like it, and especially I like the colours that you've got into the reflections there, Lauren. And even though the boat's far away, beautifully done, that distant boat. And we've certainly got the feeling of thatch on that cottage as well. Excellent, very nice indeed. Thanks, Lauren and Lillian. Good composition. We've got our first figure. And really well drawn as well, just the right scale. You've made the jetty a little bit wider. Perhaps with the perspective we could go, again, that line there is okay, but as we go further away, we go a little bit more towards the horizontal. That might make that look a little bit better, but well done for including the figure. Excellent background woods as well, with that soft edge at the top there. So you've gone very, very loose and lots of soft edges with those background trees, and a soft transition into the water. We kind of lose that white boat, but it doesn't matter. It's way off there in the distance. I also like the way that you've maybe exploited the surface of the paper with these little horizontal white marks, as if there's a little bit of glistening on the water surface. The sun is just with the bright light. The sun is just beginning to peek through, and it's giving us a bit of shimmering on the water's edge. The boats are really well drawn and painted. Not so sure about the reflections. I reckon, yeah, the reflection of the yellow boat looks a little bit sort of, how could I describe it? Sort of ghostly. Maybe it could be a little bit darker, I reckon, Lillian. That reflection there could be a bit darker. make it stand out a bit more. But it's a lovely painting, and like that bit of blue in the woods there. Well done for including the figure, and really well drawn figure as well. And just a little mention of the up and coming workshop where we're going to be painting Cadaqués at northeast Spain, and an exercise in light and shade with some quite complex balconies on the left-hand side and rooftops going over to the right. But a lovely scene. Hopefully you can join me on that workshop. Go to crowdcast.io/SEPT2025 workshop, WORKSHOP. Hope to see you on the next workshop. Next up, Lynn. Nice composition. Boat's really well placed. Perspective is excellent. You've got the timber decking there angled in just right. The angle of the boats as well. With the yellow boat, not sure if yeah, that curve there, maybe just a little bit too much, but it's all right. Yeah, nice boats. The sky, excellent, really good, sort of soft. You've gone a little bit softer with the trees to push them back to get that feeling of depth. Very nice wintry feeling, like the effect there, what's going on there. Yeah, good trees, lots of nice colours in them. With the white boat, I'm not sure if it looks a little bit too tall. Maybe stretch it out just a little bit more, I reckon. More sort of, in a way, more like a rectangle with that boat. That might make it look a little bit better. But overall, very nice, fantastic reflections. Yeah, and then you've got the lightness down here, but again, like a few other people, you've got that sort of glassy feeling to the surface, and those reflections of the yellow boat, they are really, really nice. I like them. Just be careful with the white paint for those reflections. There was in the source photo little bits of white there, I guess, catching the end reflections of the ends of the boats, but the white looks good for the roads. But yeah, I would ease off on some of the white paint there. But really nice, Lynn, and I do like your background trees, and the angle of the timbers on the decking, perfect. Thanks very much, Lynn and Marilyn. Nice composition with trying to think now. Yeah, it's the water's edge there. I reckon it would look a little bit better, Marilyn, if we just came down ever so slightly. This is the water's edge here, all right? So that line there, just angle it down a little bit more. Good perspective. The boat's really well drawn and painted. The timber decking as well, like quite a few other people. So that's our guideline, but we need to go a little bit more. I'm exaggerating again. A little bit more towards the horizontal as we go up up that right hand side. Background trees, really good. A little bit too. Those edges there of those trees. The right hand side, excellent. I like those. Try and also, you've got a light edge across the top of the thatched cottage. I would remove that. Just try, actually there was a white bit of a light hitting the top of the cottage. I take that back. I was thinking of that white edge there, just makes it stand out a bit too much. No, the cottage looked good. Yeah, these dark lines here, I would soften them up a little bit. Distant white boat, brilliant. Reflections, fantastic, very nice indeed. Also these vertical marks here as well, these lighter vertical marks, they've come out really well. And the boys also, yellow boat, very well drawn and painted, nice reflections. Perhaps with these darker ropes here, I would try and exploit. You've got a bit of dark area there. I'd be tempted to go in with a whiter line there, possibly. I didn't on mine. On the source photo as well, it's quite dark, but just consider that as an idea. But a lovely scene. Yeah, excellent boats. Well done. Thanks, Marilyn and Mark. Nice composition. The boats, I think the yellow boat here might look better. You've got it going, you've got yellow boat going sort of that angle. I think it would still look better going a little bit like that, just to help with the perspective, so that those angles of the boats. So let's just think about this. So the angle of the boats, we've got one there, and then one there, and then one there. Do you see what I mean? They're going towards the horizontal thing. And if there was one over here, it would be pointing down almost vertically. That's the idea. But nice composition. Other than that, perspective is good. The background, so nice sky. The background tree is just a little bit overworked, I reckon. And we're losing a little bit of the definition of where the water's edge might be. Yes, a little bit. Background trees just a little bit overworked there, Mark, but we've certainly got the feeling of the winter woods. The reflections are very nice indeed. Nice bit of light in that bottom left-hand corner. The boats themselves, putting aside the angle of the yellow boat, the boat's really well drawn and painted. Yeah, maybe these ropes might be just a little bit too thick here. Go thinner ropes, like you've got some of these others. All right, so go for try and get a thinner brush, a rigger brush, or a brush with a smaller head to it. I like your boys. Got some nice colour in there, and nice. Now those are nice white marks there, where you've done like a dry brush. That line there from that boy, going down there, perfect. Yeah, thanks, Mark. And Mike. Nice composition. You've got all the houses in, I think, in the distance. You've made the boat just a little bit larger. I think that works also. Good drawing of the boats. With that yellow boat, I think you've got the angle of the back of the boat like that. I think it would look a little bit better if it was just little bit like that, Mike, I reckon. But other than that, boats really well drawn and painted. Nice arrangement of different boats and colours as well. Background. Now your background, I reckon if those background trees were a little bit more solid, so we'd see less of the light, especially at the bottom there. I think you can get away with the light showing through towards the top, but not so much at the bottom. And also try and get in perhaps a little bit more of a softer edge to the top of those trees to help push them back. But you certainly you've got the winter's feeling of those trees. That's come up all right. And these houses along the water's edge are very nice indeed. I really like your white boat there and its reflection. The other reflections, fantastic, coming towards us. The light here as well. Bit of movement here. Yes, a lovely scene. What a Mike, thank you. Oh, and that's Mike. Mike 1 and Mike 2. Right, Mike number 2. Ooh, very, very colourful scene. Very nice indeed. Good composition. Perspective. good. Perspective is good. The colours that you've managed to achieve in this, very creative, particularly the, what should I say, the background trees there, and our yellow boat that's got a sort of warmer orangey feeling about it. You make the shape just a little bit wider perhaps. We don't have the slimness of that boat, but it looks all right. Yeah, so lovely scene. I think that middle cottage, it might stand out just a little bit too much, Mike. It's almost like a focal point, and which I suppose would work, but I would glaze over that just a little bit, just to push it back a bit more, or make the edges a bit softer, perhaps. But the colours you've got into those woods, they are really nice indeed, beautiful. The reds, the blues, the greens, the browns, the greys, going lighter on that left-hand side, yeah, which pushes that back way back into the distance. The darkness underneath the canopy of the trees there as well, kind of highlighting that white boat. Really nice reflections also. The boys, you've gone with a lighter blue for those. Yeah, very colourful scene and expertly painted, Mike. Mike number 2. And Nydia. Nice composition. Perspective is good. But we're angling down, let me just think now. 2 areas where we might be angling down a little bit more, a bit too much. The angle on that side there, going down a little bit too much. I think it would look better, Nydia, if it was more horizontal. And our cottage in the middle there, I think it would look better just going up a little bit with the top of the roof, and maybe going a little bit more, again, a bit more horizontal with the bottom of the roof, and then angling up a little bit, if you can see that, with the top of the roof. But the other watercolor effects that we've got in here, lovely sky, the way that you've done those background trees, let's just zoom into those trees. Lost a little bit of the focus, the definition, but look at that, really nice. Again, lots of colours, like so many of you. The greens, the blues, the browns. Yep, excellent level of textures and detail on those background woods. The boats are really well drawn. Those 2 on the right, could they maybe nudged up just a little bit more from a perspective point of view? Not sure. But the other boats, especially these 3 here on the left, really well drawn, and the boys as well. Reflections are very nice indeed. The edge, your brush shapes, excellent. Nice bit of light hitting the jetty. Yeah, well done, Nydia. Richard. Now this is a different style and technique. Composition wise, I think with the placement of the boats, they would be better. I can see what you've done. You've moved those row of buoys up into that middle, almost that middle ground area, but I still think these row of boats here would be better placed just a little bit further up. But the technique that you've used here, Richard, it's quite a light style to it, but I do like that background. Let me just zoom in there. The effect that you've got, so let me try and work out how you've done it. You've laid down your initial washes and a few transparent layers there. I'm looking at these background woods here, those transparent layers, and then you've gone in with maybe a watercolor pencil, possibly, or some scraping marks here. But it's very effective. It really works with, I guess it works with those winter trees, these winter deciduous trees, especially those on the top part of the wood there, and to some extent these down here. Yeah, I like it. Right, so nice sky. I like the green effect of the sky. The reflections have come out really well. You've gone a little bit lighter here. Perhaps we could have got a little bit more impact with a darker reflection, but then it might be a little bit against your style. So you've gone quite soft and flattish there, but a little bit more detail with reflection marks here. Good. I still think you could have gone a bit darker in areas with these boats. Maybe maybe a slightly darker side to this yellow boat, and then darker reflection. But the style, the technique that you've got here, Richard, is quite. I haven't really seen many people paint in this sort of style. I do like it. Almost, I guess it's almost like line and wash, but it isn't, because I reckon you've laid down that wash first, and then you've gone in with the pen or pencil on top. The boats are really well drawn and painted with the outboard motors as well. Yeah, lovely style. Well done, Richard. Thank you. And we've got Rosella. Let's just zoom in a little bit on this one. Nice composition. Perspective is good, especially the yellow boat. Maybe these other boats here, Rosella, could be a little bit more horizontal, like I've showed on previous ones. We got the angle there. That one's okay. But as we go away, we are slightly going towards the horizontal. So those two boats in the distance, they're all right, but maybe I think it's that greenish boat there. I think if it was a little bit more horizontal, it would look better. Lovely sky. Nice background woods. Just be careful of a few hard edges creeping in, but nice background woods. I particularly like that light hitting the grass between the two areas of wood. Nice white boat as well. These darker vertical marks here, perhaps they're just a little bit too harsh. I think on mine, I went a little bit too dark with mine. Could have gone with a softer edge as well. Or possibly, for example, this mark here, possibly just consider having that white line continuing over, connecting with the white boat, and then again there as well. So you still got that darker mark. There's the vertical marks, but that lighter line just coming across it. Yeah, that yellow boat, really well done. The perfect reflection, really nice reflection. And the overall reflections are fantastic in this. The browns, the blues, the shapes, your brush shapes as well, the perspective of the jetty. And actually, it's actually still quite colourful as well, being a winter scene. Very nice. Well done, Rosella. And Sally. Nice composition. The boats look all right. I think the yellow boat is it could be deeper in colour. It could be a stronger colour. Yeah, you've got it going more horizontal. Again, I think it would work being a little bit angled down. A little bit angled down like that would work a little bit better. Now, what I do like, really, I love it, is the background trees. The background woods and their connection with the sky. That is just right. Really, really nice. Little bits of light showing through. Could be edges of trees catching the light, but you've got the sense of the volume of those trees, the circular nature of those trees, and the overlapping shapes down to the shoreline as well. And also the values that you've chosen, the soft edge, the values, it really does push it back. Nice reflections. Perhaps we could have, oh, with the bottom of the trees, possibly going a bit darker with the bottom edge just to define that shoreline and the shadow under the trees, just above the shoreline, the water's edge. Nice reflections though, and nice sort of calm, glassy effect to the water surface. Yep, well done, Sally and Sarah. Nice composition, very colourful with the boats. Very colourful with that yellow. Maybe that yellow might be just a little bit too bright. I don't know, but nice boats, nice composition. The background sky, really nice, like your use of the flat brush. The sky, excellent, sort of warms and cools in there. The background trees, really nice also. Maybe just try and with your, I guess like me, you're using a flat brush, just try and get a bit more of a softer edge, or possibly go in when you're with these darker marks there, try and make sure the surface is a little bit damper, like you got it to some extent to the right hand side. That works okay. Yeah, those trees on the right side, very nice and neat. But just think some of the darker marks here just a little bit too dark, or the edge might be just a little bit too hard. Reflections, excellent, beautiful. The boats are really well drawn and painted. The ropes, all that rope there, got it going up a little bit. Maybe it could go a little bit more like that, or indeed straighter rather than going up. Boys, brilliant. The overall reflections are excellent. The reflection of the yellow boat possibly could come out a little bit more. In that area there, I reckon, just a little bit more. Yeah, lovely scene. Particularly nice sky and background trees, lovely reflections. Well done, Sarah. And Tony. Nice composition. I think you win top prize for the detail that you've got into those background buildings there. They are really well done. Nice attention to detail. And that thatched cottage there in the middle. The trees over, the buildings over to the left with their slipways down to the river. So nice composition. Good perspective. Boats really well drawn and painted. Perhaps the yellow here could be just a little bit stronger, possibly. Background trees, very nice indeed. You've gone quite brown. Maybe overall the background trees, the background woods could be just a tiny bit darker, I reckon. Just a tiny bit darker. Maybe not so much on that left-hand side there, Tony, because we do want to push that back, don't we? But maybe on the right-hand side could be a little bit stronger with your colours there, a bit darker. The water reflections are excellent, like your white boat there. We've got what I guess you used a little bit of white gouache and quickly across the surface to get that sort of simmering look. The buoys, perfectly drawn and painted. And the boats, again, brilliant. Nice perspective with the jetty. Nice over reflection. Possibly the reflection of the yellow boat could be just a little bit darker. But just, yeah, the edge there could be just, maybe it could be a little bit deeper, a little bit larger reflection, but darker. Kind of that value there, but just extend it out to the rest of it. And a nice bit of disturbance in the water there. Might be a fish bobbing up or something like that. Yeah, very nice, Tony. Like it. Vicente. Nice composition. Very bold with your brush strokes. You've gone quite dark with your background woods there, Lucinda. You've lowered the horizon, which is all right. So you've got more. You've made more of a feature of the sky. I can see. So the sky looks good. I think some of the boat shapes aren't quite right, and a little bit overworked here. Too much use of the white paint there, Vicente. Yeah, the main boat here, that would need adjusting. It's a little bit too small and the perspective isn't quite right. It looks like we're looking down on top of it a bit too much. So just practice your boat shapes. But nice sky, nice way that you've done the background woods. I particularly like the woods on the left-hand side. That's excellent. You're exploiting the paper, lovely paper surface. And then the reflections also very freshly laid down, nice and loose. Yeah, just ease off on this thickish, opaque-ish paint there in a little bit. I can see that you've done a little, it looks like a little bit there as well. Well, thanks very much, all of you, for taking part and submitting your paintings. Always look forward to receiving and seeing your different interpretations of the scene. And, well, hopefully catch up with you on the next workshop. So bye for now.